Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 25th of May to the 31st of May. You know, I watched a couple videos that, I could have put as a not good here, but then I was like, I don't really care to talk about this. I'd be like, I didn't like it. And it wasn't really constructive or pointed or anything, or just, I didn't have anything really to say about them. So we're just going to go right to the videos that I thought were decent. They were the ones that, even though I don't have, as much to say about them sometimes, or just, I liked it, sometimes, I still want to, put it forward as, oh, this is a kind of a fun video or something like that, I find that better than just, I didn't like it, and then I'll just move on or whatever. I don't know. But this first one is kind of interesting. It's from KrisPNatz. Doing his thing, Bakuten Masamune Shichigahama. It's a new series, I guess. It's called That Man, and it's KrisPNatz basically thirsting over this one character from Bakuten, and he doesn't even really talk too much about the show itself or the what the character's about, what his deal is. It's really just an object. I think he says it in the video. It's an objectification of this character, and thirsting over every slight frame that has his shirt slightly it flowing upwards, and you can kind of see his abs or something. It's like he's taking every single shot like that. His screen capping game is next level. But even or just the back of the head and describing it and kind of that sort of thing. It's just kind of a stand-up routine, it feels like. And again, you don't really get this kind of. I feel like there are fans like this that are really just in it for kind of the thirst and the moment to moment, oh my gosh, this guy, blah blah blah. But this seeing it in a video is really different and fun and interesting. I think KrisPNatz also it's not awkward because his energy is so 11 and over the top, and he's also just really charming in a lot of his wordplay and very various observations and things in his attitude. I think you want to go all in with this, and I certainly don't have that kind of attitude. I couldn't pull something like this off. So I always respect and admire things like this. Also, a lot of people would probably be very insecure to they would be able to type it or something or think it to themselves. But being able to verbalize it and then also perform it and showing it off in this video, as well as with the various music cues he uses and certain effects and stuff, it's just super infectious and fun. I'm just very fascinated by this kind of this is similar to the video I talked about last time with him, with the kind of rattling off 10 or 20 characters that you'd have to be high to or whatever. But this is focused, hyper focused on one character. But yeah, it's just really fun. I just really liked it. Yeah. Man, Netflix anime really, they've given me more reasons to talk about them because they keep putting out really different content every time. It's one thing if they were just posting clips of the various Netflix things they had, which they definitely very well could. I know that's mostly what Retro Crush does, but this was an instant with another kind of different kind of structured video sort of thing, and I think it went pretty okay with this. What makes a great anime tick featuring Aki Dearest, Save the Cat Goes Anime, Netflix anime. It's a lot of top titles at once, but Save the Cat is referring to the first step of a character, how we empathize with a character at first, what's the thing that they do to get us on their side. That's the Save the Cat moment. And so Save the Cat is the name of the book that they're taking this structure from. And it's basically 15 different script tropes, kind of TV tropes, I guess, of finding a way to structure it, I guess. And it's mainly being done by this one dude that's an anime screenwriter, which made me interested in this. But then, of course, the cover is Aki Dearest, and she's just sort of the face and the way to get people to click on it, I guess. And it was kind of weird in execution. I do respect it, again, because it's why is it's interesting that Netflix is doing this sort of thing, and it has decent production to it. But it was just kind of weird with the the screenwriter is very much on a script, and he's performing this script in front of a camera. There's like a face cam or whatever, and he very clearly seems to be performing this. Whereas Aki Dearest has way more of a casual, off the cuff, more YouTubery. Like you could tell she's the YouTuber, right? Even though there's moments where it's like, oh, that is scripted because the screenwriter is like, that's right, Aki, and like and the back and forth is extremely artificial. It's extremely forced, which doesn't really work great for a lot of, like, it seems very obtrusive in that way, or kind of fake. But it still, I think I get with the, if they wanted to have these things fit together and that's just how it came together, it is what it is. I can imagine that it would be kind of difficult to weave a narrative out of, like, if they just had a regular conversation about Save the Cat, and then finding a succinct way to make that down to like 13 minutes would probably be pretty difficult for an editor. Not something they want to like put on the editor, I guess. And yeah, I just felt like it was hard to really engage with what was happening in the video in that regard, because I just couldn't get over the artifice of the conversation and just how performative the screenwriter, not that he was over the top, but it was just very clearly reading off of a script, but like trying to do, I don't know, just not staccato, I don't know if that's the word, but it just felt unnatural, I guess. And then, it's no problem if it's like, if you want to do scripted content, that's totally cool. But I think the teetering on trying to make it seem like it wasn't scripted content for me with the inclusion of Aki Dearest, I think that was what was kind of tripping me up about it. But like, I respect the idea in introducing people to this particular, using this book, and not like, I'm an anime screenwriter and I know the thing, I like that they were directly using this book as a skeleton, as a structure. And there was something interesting about it. I had never heard of that particular thought process of screenwriting, I guess. And it also made sense that they pretty much only used Netflix series, like they used Beastars and Whisker Away specifically. But yeah, that's totally fine. It makes sense. It's fair. Or Baki as well. What makes it interesting is like there's some that they do use quite often, Devilman Crybaby, but they weren't using like Doro Hey Doro. It's interesting. Certain other Netflix jail shows, I guess, that maybe they weren't as successful for them, and maybe that's why they aren't pushing them. I don't know. Interesting, but yeah, certainly something different, and it's weird that it's interesting that Netflix keeps putting out different stuff like this. It's really cool, to be honest with you. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I'm just gonna probably cover every Naoki Urasawa video that comes out that gets on my radar. But this one's called My Life Risking Drawing Without Rough Sketches. And he's talking about how yes, it's what it essentially is a just a time lapse of a drawing he does. But the kind of the hook of it is like he does them without any sketches, and it's sort of like he talks in the beginning of the most exciting part about making manga for him is how it just comes to how the setting and the character gets realized as you're drawing it and comes out that way, and that discovery is what's really exciting for him. But for the most part, there's no music, and there's no commentary over it. For the majority of it is, and it's very little cutting. I will say the interesting one is they showed off the as like a bonus, they showed off the process of inking or graying, I guess. Like there's grayscale and some things. The process of doing that is interesting, actually. It's like a gray sheet, and they carve out the shape that they want it and have that in, I guess. This is really interesting. I feel like I knew that's how it worked, but I never really processed it like that. I never saw it in action in that way, and that was really one of the interesting things with this for me. I thought that it's commendable, the approach, but I liked his other video more, where he was able to kind of use his own music that he made compliment to complement the drawing the live drawing he did in that video. But the drawing comes out really, really well. It's like really impressive, but just it is. There's one of those things where I kind of found myself going onto my phone to do other stuff as the video was going, because it's like it's just a time lapse, and he draws at kind of a normal speed. It's not like whoa, or not like Bob Ross or something like that, or I don't know. But I enjoyed it, and it's good to see content from literally Naoki Urasawa. It's crazy. Yeah. Kind of a longer video. It didn't feel that long, to be honest with you, actually. 20 minutes. It didn't feel like 20. From Sarah Moon, talking about why are dubs and subs so different. And this is who I want to be listening to when it comes to talking about localizations and translations and stuff, because this is their job. And this is what ends up having to be done. And I didn't watch the video. I hate to subtweet it. I didn't include it in here because I didn't want to bear going past the first minute of it, honestly. There's a particular video about, they talked about localizations and subs and dubs, and it was like 50 minutes. I hate to subtweet, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, no, I tried it and I was like, I'm not feeling good. I didn't want to go through the same thing I went through with Otaku Daikun. Like that video it made me mad. It made me really like not comfortable. And especially the fact that I'm kind of making a video like that right now. It talks about localization. It talks about subs and dubs. I really don't want to I don't want to subject myself to that kind of other video, especially when I'm making this one. And I would feel the need to like try to correct that or like, oh, that's an argument they're going to be probably bringing up. I better include this in and I'm already doing that. I already do that way too much in this video. It's a fucking hour long. So I'm trying. I can't do that video. I couldn't do it. I much prefer these discussions being done in case-by-case basis and like really talking about the textual examples and being thorough about it. And yeah, Sarah Moon is literally a professional translator. She's able to tell, being like the subs actually have limitations. In terms of like making the subs, you have to not only consider the translation and what's being said, but also that it fits succinctly in the subs. So like it doesn't take up 4 lines, or it's broken up in a way that the reader can experience it and read it comprehensively. There's a character limit to subs, and that can actually affect the translation of things. A lot of people don't realize that because they haven't made subs themselves. That's the big thing. It's like, if you care about subs and dubs, you should try it yourself. See how easy it is. It's easy to point out all the little things and see it also, especially in hindsight, right? Like you don't really get what the conditions or the limitations or the thought process of every one of these choices were. And all of them probably do have their own reasons for existing, that these other videos probably aren't even considering because they don't make it themselves. So like people like Sarah Moon are the ones I want to actually listen from, because they do know what they're talking about. There's a lot of detail here. I don't know if it's like the most engaging in terms of a video thing, because it's weird little MS Paint things. Like she had this weird recurring cartoon of a devil with like a scroll, like my plan to destroy the anime industry, which is tongue-in-cheek, of course, but it was just kind of a weird device. And then she was using a lot of emojis, and the vibe and the aesthetic of the video wasn't my favorite. It kind of it didn't feel great watching it as an experience personally. But no, I mean, people like this who know what they're talking about, they run circles over the people that are just like, I think this and that, and it's cool to have an opinion. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an opinion, but like, I would hope that something that comes out of if you say it at any point of the video being like, I'm not a translator or a localizer, here are just my thoughts, but if you were at least transparent at the fact that like, look, I know this isn't maybe this and that, and give them the benefit of the fucking doubt. But that's the problem. A lot of these people don't. A lot of these people take it maliciously, or think it's wrong or something. It's like, then do the work yourself. You try this. There's a lot of not flashy, not sexy situations in the process and the work that goes into this. You wouldn't want it, and you'd probably shut up if if you found out like, ugh. Anyway, sorry to spoil my video just a tiny bit. But yeah, good video from Sarah Moon. Just wasn't my favorite aesthetic experience, but this is the kind of content I'm like, yes, this is great. Very substantive and thorough, detailed. You don't even have to agree with her in that way, but it's like there's thought put into this. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just like it. Hey, congratulations to Otaku-Vs for their first stream, and Oto-chan's debut as an anime VTuber. I don't actually know how much they're going to do this. It seemed like she didn't have a good time. It seemed very chaotic and stressful, with a really active chat, and they didn't even read any super chats, right? And I totally get that as someone who, like, I did my first stream almost a year, like close to like a long time, a couple months ago, like almost a year ago now, on this channel, right? And I remember that experience being so overwhelming with a lot of people and like wanting to thank a bunch of people and things like that. And it can be stressful, I think. Streaming is not easy. But, you know, it came out pretty interesting. We spent $30,000 to become a real anime VTuber, and I'm not super versed in the scene. I don't know how many VTubers do this to this extent of technical stuff going on, and like there's a whole 3D environment, and she can control the camera, and there's a lot going on. She's going to interact with various objects. Like, there's a lot that happens in this. It's, you know, I only like it so much where there's a lot of stretches of waiting and standby, because there's a lot of setup to this. It's not a smooth process, but that's totally understandable given how many balls I'm assuming are being juggled at the same time right now. On top of being able to perform, you know, and come off as natural and spontaneous, which this definitely does, interacting with the chat at least. That seemed really effective, and they seemed to have a good time. At least the chat certainly did. She got to say ara ara, and they all went crazy or whatever. I thought that was handled really well. The various segments are interesting with like the Twitter DMs, although you don't really see any of the DMs because, like, yeah, that probably wouldn't be the safest thing, because if you just open it up and it's something that can get the stream taken down. So I guess they had to blur the whole thing. It is what it is. But that segment itself is interesting. Really cool to have like a song at the end, even though I think there was like an unintentional backing track that wasn't related to the song at first. There was something kind of weird with the execution of that. But the song itself is like, wow, that's awesome. And that's awesome to see. I liked it. And yeah, they're just super ambitious for something like this. You know, with Otaku-Vs, they go all out. You know, that and that's something I really do have come to really admire about them, despite like my aversions to some of their stuff in the past of being like, it feels very anime adjacent. But I'm just realizing like it's the future. It kind of is the future, where it's like, you know, we all love this stuff, but YouTube doesn't. Yeah. It's not as popular these days, I guess, with YouTube. Maybe because there's so many content ID stuff that happens that they're just like, I'm done with it. You know, I don't want to deal with this. Maybe that's a flat, sudden, I don't know, a shot in the dark. Maybe that's why they don't want us to do so much anime content anymore. But anime adjacent, there is an audience, because anime is still very mainstream and global. I don't know. Anyway, just a thought. But yeah, really great job with Otaku-Vs. But, you know, the stream's a stream. That was pretty cool. Really crazy ambitious. Okay. And now what I thought were the best videos of the week. Is it already like, oh man, it's only 20 minutes. It's going to be kind of a short digest, I guess. Apologies. You know, that's actually kind of a good thing, because I'm recording this at like 5 p.m. Which is very, very late for most digests, to be honest. But anyway. Versus Beyond Ghibli is a not quite anime, so it's why it's more on like a kind of honorable mention best. Usually what I do is kind of one of the first entries in this part. Never mind. Speed of Lightness, a lo-fi look at Japan, and he did, oh my god. So like, this is a book review, and it's kind of hard to do a book review on YouTube if it's not like a vlog, right? Like most book YouTubers are on camera. There's not many visuals to really give you for this. So what he decides to do is commission like, I think it's like 6 or 7 different scenes. I guess, I don't know, in part I guess from the book. Commit like artist, and it's animated, not like fully animated or whatever. It's more like animatic of sorts, but oh my gosh, it is animated for like some of the like a lot of the character models and stuff. But it's not like an animation itself, you know, in the way you're not like a YouTube animation. It's more like creating an environment for every paragraph in him talking about this book. And a lo-fi look at Japan sort of deal is to give that vibe of like, this is just sort of chill. This isn't like a, oh, you should read like a typical review. I feel like a lot of reviews are intentionally very tasteless. Tasteless is not like a shitty way, but tasteless is in like, there's no experience to a review. Like maybe they might kind of like use the show itself in a way, but like for the most part, they always feel very detached from the or giving you any reviews aren't meant to give you an experience per se as they are to give you information, you know, and and that's fine. Roger Ebert didn't have to create a mood for his reviews or anything like that. The theater, you know, like him filming with Siskel and Ebert was the mood and the atmosphere with like being in the theater and stuff. And you know, there's pretty much just their opinion, but like Beyond Ghibli using the music and the ambiance and the animation here, also the little Easter eggs he had of himself and with other things, and little quirks here and there, it's just gorgeous. And I was reading the comments too. It's like, man, no, nothing's like this. You know, it's like, this is something. It's like, this guy's something else. You know, it gives you that really good feeling of like, man. That's something. And it you know, it sucks that this is the kind of, it's very original content. So of course YouTube's going to kill it. It's like originality on my platform. No, thank you. No, yeah, but this is unreal. I couldn't believe, I was like, he sent me like some initial, the test. I'm like, what the fuck? This is unbelievable. Yeah. So, I mean, man, loved it. It was great. Liked it a lot. I'll die with a very quick video about Dororo. What's in a title card? The most basement little outline, very, very cheeky. But this was a really cool video. Just analyzing that title card and talking about like the font and how it like, I loved his point about the dough creating this like whoosh and then the row feeling like an explosion after effect. And certain things like that. I kind of don't know if the artist really intended all of that meaning, and it's not like he's like going so far as what Jeff would do in What's in an OP and really extend it out to the themes of the show, you know, and like how it really represents the whole thing or whatever. I feel like it's I'll Die is more succinct and focusing more on the title card itself and not being like, this is how it relates to Dororo or something like that. And I just really admire just how short this video is. It's like the 5 minutes. It just feels like bang. Here's the point. Here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. You know, there's a little rumination on this thing. I really want to make videos like this. I've talked about this in other digests. I'm sorry if people who listen to this often like, there he goes again. Of course he does. No, but dead ass. I'm so sick of making fucking hour-long videos. This fucking video I'm working on right now is over an hour. Didn't want it to be. I wanted it to be like 45 minutes or 50. Like, yeah, I still wanted it to be long, like kind of substantial, because I had a lot to say about it, and I don't want to like make a follow-up video or seek or like other things kind of related to it. I really just wanted this to be the one shebang kind of thing. But it's just an hour. Thankfully, like I've decided from the beginning that it's going to be very minimalist. I'm sorry, this is something about my video. I'm sorry. This is what's been on my mind, right? But like, yeah, I'm making it very minimalist. And so like there's an efficiency in that. There is an economic choices there, but it's still a lot of content to sift through. It's a fucking hour. You know. But these 5-minute ones, it's just so nice, so succinct. They probably won't do very well on YouTube or anything. I don't care. Like I just want to get these ideas out there, you know, that I have. And I spend so long in these other bigger fucking videos that these smaller ones that I have in mind just kind of zip out, you know, they disappear. But I can't, you know, I'm in a bit of a crunch time for this one, so I can't do this small. It's similar to what I did with the Gurren Lagann video, where it's a big video, but I released small ones in the interim. And that's because like I dedicated this whole 6-month period to it, but that's not the case with this one. So whatever. Sorry, this was mostly me about talking about myself, but no, I just love this video. I thought it was really interesting and succinct. I like the effects of the way illdie used the arrows. It just like the fuzziness of it. It felt really interesting. The look of those basically, as well as like the little don 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 don, and the feel of this, like the kind of the energy that this video had editing wise was really great. And had good points to it. Didn't feel bogged down by anything. Yeah, no, I thought this was sick. It was a great vid. Yeah, I really liked this MVPerry video, how I became a weeb. He's doing his thing. He's got over 1 million subscribers. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think he did get more. He did hit 1 million subscribers before Jeff, I believe, which is crazy. Or even more than Super Eye Patch Wolf, I think. But it's just crazy. Like a lot of people, like hardly anyone I knows about him. And he has this whole. Again, it's because he's going into he's doing anime adjacent. He's not really doing anime per se. And he says like in the video here, where he's like, I haven't been able to watch much anime lately because I've been busy with other stuff and YouTube specifically, right? Which totally makes sense. He's totally on that grind. But this video was fun, and I kind of, it feels like an evolution of, I feel like way back when I started watching his stuff, there was fewer drawings. But the amount of drawings that was here, it's not like a ton of animation per se, but it did have a little bit to it in that way. But it felt like a Swoozy video. If you don't know, Swoozy was like kind of, he's been on the channel for, not this channel, but like, he's been on YouTube for a long time. He was the, if you ever saw that video of like Confessions of a ex-Disney employee or something, that's like his most popular video. At least at the time, maybe it's different now, but he's made a lot of like vlogs, but they're animated vlogs, and it's just really interesting. And this felt a lot like that, and the very personability of it. You know how natural MVPerry comes off here. I really liked how personal he was. I don't really like him I don't know if he's my kind of, like, I don't enjoy his jokes. Like that's not the kind of thing I like watching from him. But this personal stuff, like I may have said this before about him, maybe, but like I really like the more personal stuff from him, and learning about him and like his experience and talking about his childhood a lot. His story about how he got into Pokemon was fun. I really like his treating of like Sword Art Online. It's like, don't make fun of me. Like I had the ringtone and I thought I was Kirito, and you know, and like he's very innocent about it, you know, and very honest, I guess. He's not trying to be super like posy or anything. It's being very honest, and in a way I think that's very genuine. Probably a lot of his fans felt the same way. I also like, he's like, maybe your first anime was Demon Slayer, and I was like, I was like, no, say it ain't so. But I was like, you know, he probably knows his audience. His audience is probably very young, or just new to anime and stuff like that. So he was like, yeah, you're probably right there. You probably know your audience better. And it's like, yeah, a lot of their first was probably Demon Slayer or something. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. No. Yeah, but I just really like this video. It just felt like a Swoozy video. A lot of great drawings in this and very charming. And yeah, I liked it. It was really cool. I enjoyed it a good deal. I also just like these kinds of videos of like charting the origins of someone's fandom. I'm thinking of because it also kind of reminded me of a video I want to make, not in this style per se, but in a different particular YouTube style. But haven't made it yet. We'll get to it some point. Not now. Hey, this is a cool video from Accented Cinema, video essay on South Korea used to make awful movies. And I can count this in AniTube Digest because he mentions a lot of the South Korean anime from the 70s, like the Super Robot knockoffs from South Korea, like Taekwon 5, which I guess was super successful enough. And it makes sense because there was multiple sequels and spin-offs of that. But because it was clearly copyright and like plagiarism and knockoffs, it didn't really do. There's a lot of cease and desist, and people don't want to touch it anymore. They're trying to distance themselves from it. But it was an interesting rumination on how there used to be it used to not do very well, and there was a lot of here's a lot of different examples, like the Bruceploitation thing. I had not heard about that. The fucking when Bruce Lee died, there was so many movies trying to ape on him, like his death. And like one of the movies, it was localized this way in the United States apparently, but it wasn't called this initially. But the localization was literally Bruce Lee rises from the grave. Like a couple years after, like very recently after his death, which is I can't even believe that happened. It's insane. No, but yeah, so like their participation in that sort of thing. But then like the idea of he mentioned this particular shift. I don't know if it was something with Sony. I don't remember what it was, but like they kind of had a cultural shift, and there was like that's when they decided, all right, let's lean into the cultural export thing. Let's get K-pop, K-dramas, and then yeah, now that they're the first foreign language, like the South Korea movie Parasite and Minari, being the first movies to be nominated for Oscars. It's crazy how much it's seeing that charting is really interesting that Accented Cinema brings here. And I like the lessons he has at the end, being like, what did we learn here? It's like don't I like that his first major message was that, like, if you're in this stage of your artistic development and you're making all this shitty stuff, it can always be better for you. You can improve over time. And obviously, it's a generalization of like all cinema. There's a lot of different people making cinema in South Korea from that whole period of time. But it's a good idea. It's a good lesson, I think. But also that like knockoffs don't pay off. Like they although there's something else, there's more nuance to that now that I'm thinking about it. But the thing with like knockoffs don't pay off ultimately is like, yeah, ultimately you're not being original, and you're not standing on your own kind of thing. Although it makes me think it's like, oh, actually, never mind. He does correct in the third thing that he mentions is like copying isn't inherently a bad thing. Like maybe copying, you could come off with something original, if you find your own voice and your own niche, I guess. Because I was going to say the whole knockoff thing, it's interesting because Star Wars was initially made because he wanted to make a Flash Gordon movie, and he couldn't. So he's like, well, I'll make something adjacent to Flash Gordon, and it became Star Wars. I don't know if that's the exact story, but it yeah, something along those lines. But it is interesting and it's a lot like YouTube, right? Where you see someone else with an idea, but you make it your own. Because with YouTube, it needs to be from you. It's be something only you can make. If you try to make it just a pure knockoff of this other video, people will tell. But if it's from you and it's your authentic voice and your eye and your experience and what you think would be interesting or funny to you, that's what people invest in and care about ultimately. Yeah, it got me thinking, and it was an interesting exploration into a subset I had never seen before. So I really enjoyed this video. It was really cool. Yeah. And the last video, I would say this is like probably my favorite. Just the was like, yeah, that was great. This is BobSamurai video overview of all of Kentaro Miura's other published manga. Last week I didn't cover any of the Berserk videos that came out because of it was the week of him passing, and I didn't feel comfortable covering any of them. It just felt too soon for me personally to make a video like that. And I felt a lot of them would just kind of end up being the same. and also talking about the future. And I don't think that was the right time to talk about it. But a lot of people got a lot of views and attention for it. Good for them, you know. But I think Bob Samurai took a really good approach here that was really interesting, and talking about every other manga that Miura did that's not Berserk, including Duranki, um, including the collabs he did with Bronson, the Fist of the North Star writer, I believe the writer. Yeah, because it's Bronson and Hara, I believe, and Hara's the artist or something. But like his Miura's collaborations with him, as well as his earlier work, and he read them in order, and like he introduced them in order. Bob did. So like seeing the artistic evolution and his description of them was really interesting. But I just thought this was a really great way to do it, to honor Miura in this way. And it's not so much like how much he meant to Bob necessarily. I thought it was a more clear-headed approach. Yeah, I just really appreciated it. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it. I thought it was really well constructed. I like the ending of him being like, Miura should be taken as a success story. It was like, in terms, if we were to learn anything about Miura, is that it is a success story. You can end up working, if you work hard and you have the diligence and the ethic, you can really work hard, and you can fulfill what you want to do, and you can even work with your heroes. He's saying how he worked with Bronson. And Bronson, like the Fist of the North Star writer, and obviously Fist of the North Star is a huge influence on Miura. So being able to collab with that, I completely agree. It's sort of like putting yourself out there, and keep working and stuff. Eventually, you attract other people around you, and doing your best. Sort of, don't expect it to come to you right away. But yeah, no, I really liked his message at the end, as well as being like encouraging people to be like, how did Miura influence you or affect your life? I will say that, like, Berserk's one of my favorite anime. Manga wise, I like it, of course. I'm not much of a manga person necessarily, and like I was just really attached to 97 in particular. And one thing that I do remember about, like, how Miura kind of inspired me, I guess, was there was an assignment for my theater class for theater history. I don't know what the exact, I think it was just to do something theatrical that's related to history, I guess, or to something kind of old school, and to create something, I guess. I'm not too sure what the assignment was necessarily, but it was a very free form, very open-ended kind of it was like a final exam type of thing, like a final assignment, final project. And what I decided, I had this idea of, so I don't know if anyone knows about the Shakespeare's Star Wars, where they take the movies of Star Wars and turn them into 5-act iambic pentameter plays, which is very transformative and interesting. And I was always thinking as like Berserk would be a really great Shakespeare, like Shakespearean tragedy if you just did the Golden Age arc, like what the anime covers. Trying to find a way to make that a 5-act play is just really interesting. And so I wrote the opening monologue that plays at the beginning of every OP, like, in this world. I took that and made a sonnet. Yes, I made a sonnet. It's been a while. I'm sorry. I made a sonnet out of that, which was really fun and interesting. And I think it came out pretty good. I'd have to find it. I don't know where. Maybe it's, I don't know. But yeah, I made that. That was kind of cool. And then I also did, I think, 2 scenes. Yeah, I did 2 different scenes from Berserk and translated them into iambic pentameter. So the one I did, Bonfire of Dreams scene, turned that into, and I did it so that, like, I don't know if it was, I believe Casca was an iambic pentameter, but I made Guts be prose, because Guts is a very coarse, not perfected, not refined, from him. It made sense that he wouldn't be talking in so formal iambic pentameter language. So like he talked like normal, and then everyone else is in iambic pentameter, or just normal-ish for, like, for it's the same with like Shakespeare's plays. Midsummer Night's Dream, some of the characters do iambic pentameter and some of them don't. Some of the like less refined characters don't. And the other scene I did was Griffith's dream speech at the fountain with the princess and stuff. So I did that one out mostly iambic pentameter. So yeah, those are somewhere printed somewhere, and yeah, I did well on them, whatever. But like that was just something creatively that Miura inspired or took out of me. And then of course, like, you know, Berserk, my most popular video is a video on Berserk. It's unlisted right now, but it will be back up. I just didn't want to deal with the Miura comments. But yeah, like I owe a lot of my success to Berserk, I guess, in terms of my YouTube channel. So I mean, yeah, that's I guess what it means to me. Just to contribute to what Bob's little call to action at the end of this video. But I just thought it was a very tasteful choice. Personally, I really respected and appreciated this approach, and it was way more mature and like interesting and kind of unique, I guess. Not that the others weren't all those, but I just felt like, what else, you know, I feel like a lot of them would end up being the same. Granted, I didn't see much of any of them, but I didn't want to deal with it. Anyway, but I just really happened to like this video. It also came out like a little while after since his passing, and didn't feel like as not manipulative. I mean, like, not trying to capitalize on it, not trying to obviously capitalize on the news. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, a great video. Loved it. Okay, great. I think my ramblings made it. Got this video to be just over 40 minutes. Perfect. Oh, jeez. That's it for AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Boo, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Nicholas, Saxon, Unique Namesaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.